The film begins at a dojo in Japan, where the sensei at the dojo, or what is known as soke named Sensei Takeda, taught his students about Yoroi Bitsu, a wooden box containing weapons and legendary ninja suits. The power of Yoroi Bitsu is passed down from generation to generation for thousands of years. The most lethal weapon of Yoroi Bitsu is the poison of death, where only one drop of it can kill someone. Besides that, there is also the Shinobu Katana, which has the power to kill. But if in the hands of a true Koga ninja, this katana can heal people from even the most lethal wound. Sensei Takeda said that one of the many students would be chosen as his successor and become the new soke, whether it was his best student, Masazuka, or a model student from America named Casey Bauman. Whoever was chosen was expected to show good manners and teach the other student. Days passed and both Masazuka and Casey trained their best to improve their abilities as well as prepared themselves before the sparring match. But turned out, Masazuka didn't seem to like Casey as his rival. Moreover, the fact that Casey managed to get the attention of Sensei Takeda's daughter, Namiko, made him irritated. Masazuka then vented his anger by bringing up Casey's background as an orphan who had no tradition or inheritance from his parents. But fortunately, Sensei Takeda immediately appeared to stop Masazuka's dishonorable behavior. In the morning, the sparring matches started. When it was Casey and Masazuka's turn, both of them took out their respective wooden katana and started the battle. At first, the match went as it should, but Masazuka's emotions went increasingly overflowing, leading him to attack Casey arrogantly. Even when other students tried to stop him, he instead grabbed katana and threw it at Casey, almost killing him. He even attacked him again using another katana, but Casey managed to defend himself using the katana thrown at him before and caused a wound under Masazuka's right eye. Because of his actions, Masazuka was finally banished from the dojo by Sensei Takeda himself. Many years later, an underground sect known as the Ring was seen inaugurating a new member by making the logo using a hot iron rod. Meanwhile, somewhere else, an oil refinery company owner named Yuri Klimatov was seen attending a collaboration ceremony. But without him realizing it, he was targeted by a ninja assassin who is none other than Masazuka, who worked as an assassin from an organization called Temple Industries, which also part of the Ring sect. It seemed that Masazuka was asked to kill Yuri, which was a competitor company of Temple Industries. Masazuka then started his action by eliminating Yuri's bodyguards one by one. After taking down the guards, Masazuka used his katana to end Yuri's life. Yuri's death was witnessed by many journalists and appeared on the news channel. Back in Japan, where Sensei Takeda was announcing the next generation to be appointed as the new soke, but before he could say the name, Masazuka suddenly appeared and confidently appointed himself as the new soke. Of course, this was immediately rejected by Sensei Takeda and the other students. That night, Sensei Takeda made a plan to anticipate the attack from Masazuka by pointing Casey and Namiko. In order to take care of Yoroi Bitsu, Sensei Takeda sent the two of them to New York along with two other students from the dojo to meet one of his trusted colleagues, namely Professor Garrison. Long story short, when they arrived in New York, Casey, Namiko, Professor Garrison, and two other dojo students brought the Yoroi Bitsu to be hidden safely in the vault at Triborough University to keep it safe from Masazuka. They also stayed in Professor Garrison's house to keep them safe from Masazuka. Casey then talked about his parents. His father was a Marine and was transferred to Okinawa, Japan, so he and his mother had to move to Okinawa with his father. But unfortunately, his parents were divorced, which made his mother choose to return to New York, while Casey stayed with his father in Okinawa. Until finally, in one destined day, his father, who had become an alcoholic, had an accident that claimed his life, so Casey, who had no relatives, chose to live in the dojo until now. Meanwhile, Masazuka returned to the dojo in his complete ninja suit. His goal was certain: to invade the dojo to look for Yoroi Bitsu. He even killed anyone he met in the dojo. Masazuka made a ruckus that brought the attention of the students there. They then showed up to stop him, but Masazuka was not a match for them. He managed to eliminate everyone in a very short time. Masazuka then went to Sensei Takeda's room and poured out his emotions because he was not chosen to be the next soke. With Kaden in their hand, they dueled, Masazuka with his intention to kill Sensei Take, and Sensei Takeda with his intention to stop his former favorite student. Sensei Takeda regretted ever teaching everything to Masazuka, for he did everything to get what he desired, even daring to kill his comrades and Sensei. In the middle of the duel, Masazuka turned off all the lights to hide from Sensei's view, while Sensei Takeda used his concentration to predict Masazuka's movement. Unfortunately, his concentration was disturbed by the sound of rain, so Masazuka used that opportunity to throw a needle that had been dripped with poison. When Sensei Takeda was dying, he emphasized that he would not make Masazuka the next Soke, which ultimately made Masazuka mad, and finally decided to finish off Sensei Takeda with his own hand. Masazuka then searched around the dojo to look for the Yoroi Bitsu, but he found nothing but an incoming call from Professor Garrison. He suspected something about Sensei Takeda's relationship with Professor Garrison and started to look for clues about the professor by asking for help from Temple Industries. Meanwhile, in New York, Casey tried to find his mother by going to her apartment, but one of the neighbors said that his mother had died some time ago due to a stroke. He was shocked to hear that. Shortly after returning to Professor Garrison's house, they were attacked by the Ring gang members sent by Temple Industries. They immediately killed Professor Garrison right after entering the house and continued to attack Casey, Namiko, and 2 other dojo students. In the middle of the ambush, Namiko was almost killed, but fortunately, he was saved by one of the students who unfortunately got a gunshot wound to his chest while saving her, but he still had the opportunity to kill the enemy using his katana. When Namiko and that student tried to escape, both were bombarded with bullets by the enemies that sadly caused the student to lose his life, while Namiko got wounded on her cheek. Seeing that, Casey threw a death blow to kill the enemy. Only Casey and Miko were still safe. Both of them immediately ran away looking for a safe place to hide. Somewhere else, Masazuka went to the airport to go to New York, but he didn't get a ticket, so he killed one of the passengers and disguised himself as the passenger. Back to Casey and Namiko. The 2 of them spent the night at the motel and saw the news that the 2 of them were the perpetrators of the murder of Professor Garrison. It was certain that everything was planned by Temple Industries to frame them and make them fugitives. The next day, when Namiko and Casey were buying breakfast, the shopkeeper somehow recognized Casey and Namiko's faces, who became fugitives. He then informed the Ring. As a result, the gang members appeared again and attacked the place. Casey swiftly took Namiko to the subway and entered the train. Some of the gang members also managed to follow them into the train and caused another commotion there. Casey and Namiko then fought them with their bare hands and kept them away from the other passengers. But unfortunately, in the middle of the battle, Namiko was badly beaten and slammed by the gang members. Casey, who saw this, immediately attacked them. When the train stopped at the next station, the police were on standby to arrest the 2 who were framed as fugitives. On the other hand, Masazuka, who had arrived in New York, immediately went to Temple Industries to find out where Casey and Namiko were, but he immediately went berserk after knowing that the 2 of them were at the police station, of course, because that would add the burden for Masazuka to kill them both. At the police station, Casey revealed all about the real perpetrators of the professor's murder and about Yoroi Bitsu to Detective Traxler. Detective Traxler looked in disbelief and underestimated Casey's confession. Meanwhile, at the same time, Masazuka appeared and disguised himself as Namiko's lawyer to avoid suspicion. He deliberately cut off all electricity and started carrying out the action. He wore a ninja suit that allowed him to see clearly in the dark. He slaughtered the police one by one. After taking down a few police officers, Masazuka continued to look for Namiko, who tried to escape, while Casey was still trying to release the handcuffs. Namiko kept running until she was cornered at a dead end. No matter what, she had to fight Masazuka alone, which of course, she was not a match for Masazuka. Namiko was defeated and knocked out by him without much effort. In the meantime, Casey managed to escape from the handcuffs and immediately went to look for Namiko. But in the middle of his search, he was stopped by Detective Traxler and several other police. Not long after that, Masazuka appeared while carrying Namiko and tried to shoot Detective Traxler. Fortunately, Casey immediately pushed him away and saved him from being shot. Casey then followed Masazuka to the rooftop and attacked him from behind. They were once again involved in a fierce duel. Casey got hit several times and cornered, so he grabbed an iron bar near him and fight back, but Masazuka, who was holding the katana, easily broke the iron bar and then pushed Casey until he almost fell from there. Masazuka quickly tied up Namiko and immediately ran away using the wings attached to his suit before the police came, while Casey also ran away by jumping from the top of the building. Masazuka then took Namiko and demanded to reveal the whereabouts of the Yoroi Bitsu, or he would kill Namiko. Somewhere else, Casey went to the shop where he and Namiko bought breakfast before and found out from the shopkeeper that Temple Industries were working with Masazuka. It didn't take long for Casey to go straight to the Temple Industries company building. He had to deal with several gang members, and sure enough, right when Casey entered the building, the Temple Industries leader was carrying out a ritual, together with other members of the ring. Casey started a fight against the ring's gang. Even though he was outnumbered, Casey was able to eliminate them one by one. The leader tried to run away, but Casey threw an iron bar and managed to hit his leg. He then dragged him and choked his neck to prevent him from running away. He used the leader's phone to contact Masazuka. In his conversation, Masazuka demanded Casey bring Yoroi Bitsu to him. That way, he would let go of Namiko. Casey agreed and would meet him at the construction building. Casey then went to Triborough University to pick up Yoroi Bitsu. After beating up several guards, Casey managed to take the chest, but suddenly, Detective Traxler showed up. Initially, he offered help to carry the chest and provoked Masazuka to appear, but Casey had his own plan to beat Masazuka, namely by wearing the legendary Yoroi Bitsu ninja suit and using the weapon to fight him. Long story short, when Casey arrived at the construction building, Masazuka was excited when he saw Yoroi Bitsu, but his expression changed after he saw that the chest was empty. That was when Casey appeared in the legendary ninja suit. Masazuka and Casey were ready to fight, but before that, they were interrupted by the arrival of the ring gang member sent by the Temple Industries leader to kill Casey and Masazuka. Seeing the gang members, Casey quickly ran away with Namiko while spreading some obstacles to slow down the gang members. After that, Casey, Namiko, and Masazuka fought the rest of the gang members. One of the gang members used a car to hit Masazuka. He immediately jumped onto the car and used his katana to stab the hand of the driver, making the car crash into another car and explode. After they beat all the gang members, Namiko was getting ready to shoot an arrow at Masazuka, but Masazuka was faster and quickly threw the poison needle right at Namiko's neck and poisoned her. Seeing her dying in front of him, he mocked her by dropping the antidote to the ground and wasting it, making Casey, who saw it, angry and attacked Masazuka. In the middle of the fight, some NYPD helicopters came to stop them, but they refused to stop. Masazuka then used his ninjutsu technique to break Casey's concentration using his katana, but Casey was not to be outdone. He also used his instincts to counterattack and finally succeeded in stabbing Masazuka and immobilizing him. After knocking down Masazuka, Casey immediately ran towards Namiko, who was already unconscious. Fortunately, Casey remembered Sensei Takeda's words that the katana he just used, namely the Shinobu katana, can heal people from wounds if it is in the hands of the true coach ninja. Thankfully, after inspecting the katana, Casey found an antidote in the hilt of the katana and drank it to Namiko. In a matter of seconds, the antidote worked to neutralize the poison in Namiko's body, and she finally regained consciousness. Before the two of them left, Casey approached Masazuka and gave him the final punishment by chopping off his head. The next day, Detective Traxler told Casey and Namiko that the people behind Temple Industries had been arrested and the ring has been banished. He then gave the two of them passports for them to return to Japan and leave New York forever. Long story short, when they arrived in Japan, Casey and Namiko gave their last tribute to Sensei Takeda and continued the duty to run the dojo.